In the emerging economic climate, creativity is not just the strongest driver of competitive advantage, also the foundation of a meaningful, adaptive and fulfilling career. Our next guest has written a book called Everyday Creative and shows just how to make magic with the mundane and how to try and enjoy what we do. Welcome to Mykel Dixon. Thanks so much for your time. There we go. We have you now, sir. Talk to us about...
Aged.
Yes, hello. Talk to us about why you wrote the book.
I wrote the book because so much of all the things that were going through that newsfeed that you just read out, my friend, it was there's a lot of madness and mayhem going on in the world right now. And I have a firm belief that if we can return to what matters most to us, which is our self-expression, which is our ability to think differently and to navigate our way through complex, uncertain circumstances, I think we can find solutions to the madness of 2020 and beyond.
Yeah, very much so. I guess when you're writing the book, though, did you do this because of what was happening at the time? How long ago did you actually write it? What was the inspiration?
You're right. I mean, initially I wrote this book because the work that I do, I'm a keynote speaker, a leadership advisor, and design offsite events and programs and stuff like that. And I repeatedly saw people in their workplace just not feeling lit up, not completely inspired by the work they were doing, and yet with just a few simple tweaks and a few experiences that got them back in touch with who they are, suddenly this unleashed creativity, this self-expression, this renewed sense of purpose and possibility came back to their life and their work. And I thought, man, we got to get this message out to more people. You know, every one of us has a job, you know, if we're lucky enough to have one, and we deserve to feel lit up and inspired by the work we do.
Yeah, very much so. There are a lot of books about creativity out there at the moment. I guess what makes yours different?
This book is not, a lot of those books tend to generalize, they tend to distill creativity down to a generic process. Mm-hmm. Whereas this book it's really about your return to your creativity, which I believe is a creative process. And your journey back to your creativity is going to be different to mine. So this book's really about creating a context. It's about giving people, you know, signposts and a lot of empowerment, really, just giving them the belief that it's worth doing it, that they can do it.
There are so many emotions out there for a lot of people at the moment. People who've lost their jobs, people who are struggling or concerned that they will lose their jobs. And the issue of creativity, of course, is that quite often it bounces around from the different emotions we have. A really tough time can make you really creative, or a really tough time can kill your creative inspiration completely. What are your thoughts on that?
You're on the money. And if we think about business until very recently, I mean, creativity took a back seat. It didn't have a seat in the boardroom. It was often laughed and locked out of most strategic meetings. It was relegated to the sandpit, not put on the spreadsheet. But the first thing to emerge in COVID-19 was when everyone had just a little bit more time to themselves and a little bit more space to really re-engage with who they are and what matters to them. People started being creative. And I'm not just talking about renovating the spare room or sourdough or TikTok videos, but actually people started really considering, wow, what if my work looked differently from now? What if there were things that I could do that might alter the course of my career, partly through necessity, but also seeing the opportunity in that. And a dear friend of mine actually works, she's the people and culture manager at a large manufacturing company in this country. And they've just decided, you know, when sending everyone back to work from anywhere, work from home as a result of the lockdown, they've just decided, you know what, we're going to get rid of the head office. Thousands of people are not coming back in. We're just going to do work from anywhere from now on. And that's such a bold, courageous move in embracing the times rather than thinking, oh, we've got to go back to what was, which is in one part terrifying, but equally it's liberating. I mean, who knows? We all get to co-create a new world right now.
Yeah. Do you think that people who are in jobs are able to actually transform their everyday work? Or do you think it's something you need to leave a job to look for a job where you can be creative?
That's a beautiful point. A lot of people, I think, are afraid of engaging in a conversation around creativity because they think it means you've got to quit your job, sell all your stuff, get a motorbike in India and head off and find yourself for 3 years, of which I've done plenty of times. So I definitely think that that's a good idea. But the essence of this book is really to use the conditions of the work that you're in as the vehicle, as the platform for you reclaiming your creativity. So it's all a mindset where you can look at the thing, maybe you've got a boss that just won't let you put forward any new ideas, okay, how are you going to use your creativity to get around that? How are you going to get buy-in from them? How can you think differently about the work that you're doing so that you don't actually have to leave? And the more, the curious you are, the more engaged you are with the work that you're doing, you can turn the most mundane tasks or the most mundane career into a beautiful, magical, meaningful way to make a life and a living. It's really up to you. It's gorgeous.
And yeah, absolutely. Why do you think the book matters though right now at this particular time? Obviously, a lot of us going through a tough time, but to pick up a book, what sort of people do you think will be searching for it?
I think there's probably two categories of people. People that have already been doing this work, that feel like they are an everyday creative in their organization. They've been pushing stuff uphill for a while now, trying to get their organization or their team to come on board with new ways of working, with new ways of being with each other. This is really like an injection of empowerment and inspiration to say you are on the right track. You keep doing what you're doing because it's important work. But equally, it's for people, I think, that haven't engaged in this conversation before. The ones that have always said at a barbecue or a leadership offsite, oh, I haven't got a creative bone in my body. We know those types, and really it's just a mistaken story. It's an internalized narrative that's been thrust upon them that they aren't creative. But really, this book can be a way for them to find their way back and discover, wait a second, there is a bunch of creativity in me that is dying to come out, and now more than ever is the time for me to unleash it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having us.